That's fair. No better way to start off a podcast than the cold, delicious taste of Dr. Pepper 23 flavor.
Well, I hope you were recording that because I wasn't.
Oh, yeah. I'm good to go. Welcome back to Dad's Meet World, your weekly dive into that classic show known as Boy Meets World. I am one of the two dads here that brings the fun, brings the energy, and also the what 90s? I am Tyler, and joining me is...
Dad numero dos. I am Brett, along for the what 90s ride, apparently.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I actually was rewatching this right before we started recording, and I was kind of sitting there, I'm like, what was the 90s? You know, like, just the things in this episode really makes me question what I know about this decade. So I'm curious to see what happens once we get into discussion, Brett. But how the heck are you? What's new? Football team still doing good? Band all good?
Well, honestly, I didn't make it out to the last football game, so I'm not sure what their record is. I think they are still on the losing side, but the band's doing pretty well. They got in their second of 3 band shows. Those have both gone well. Yeah, fall is in full swing here in Ohio. We're about to put up our Halloween decorations. So there's some nice evergreen content for the podcast as you're listening to this episode in January, all of you new subscribers. So yeah, things are going fun here. Abby is getting ready for the fall play. As we're recording here, we're probably about a month out from the official first curtain, almost to the weekend. We're about 5 full weeks out from the first curtain rising. So they're moving along pretty swiftly. How are you doing, Tyler?
Nice. I'm doing okay. 3 jobs might be catching up to me.
That might be a bit much, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Sarah and I keep, like, every now and then we'll have 3 minutes, and we'll be like, "Hey, before I leave your face, you have to know this information. This is super important for you to know."
Mm-hmm.
And so actually before we hopped on, we had one of those moments, and I was like, okay, I know we need to hop on, but if I hop on with the information in hand and I don't talk about this at least for a few more minutes with Sarah, I am going to be a different person. So, yeah. Brett, I think... we need to discuss something. We don't often take a hot topic of today, but I believe there's a story that is so big right now that you and I both have no choice but to put our 2 cents in it, because the world needs to hear from 2 dads on how we feel about what's going on right now.
All right, hit me with the topic.
You know what the topic is, Brett. Just say it.
I'm going to let you say it.
So, what's the deal with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift?
I'm already kind of tired of it.
Amount of, like, Twitter things or X things, whatever you call them, TikToks that have been made about it. I mean, ESPN has gone nonstop crazy talking about this thing, and you know, Taylor Swift could have let this die down by not showing up to a game, but she showed up to a game. So whether they are dating or not dating, it doesn't matter, because in the public eye, they're a thing now.
Well, you know, they're honestly good-looking people. They're dating. They left side by side after the game. Travis rented out an entire restaurant for the team and her. They were driving together in his drop-top convertible on the way. They're dating. Yeah. I mean, come on. He looked up towards the camera crew had a camera trained on his suite where she was sitting beside his mom the entire time. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm honestly, I watched like half of that game, and I'm just, I have nothing against Taylor Swift. I mean, her music's not in my playlist because it's not for me. It's not written for me. I'm not her target audience. I have nothing against it. It's just not mine. It's not my music, but I have nothing against her. I'm over it. I will tell you this. I've been in the same fantasy football league we're in our 22nd year. Good looking people. And we have one of our guys, he's retiring from the Navy this year. And he likes to have fun with his names. And this year he's changing pretty much week to week. And his name a couple weeks ago, just before this news broke, he changed it from this name. He started the season with Swifties, parenthetically, Satan's Army. And the day after he changed it, this news broke that Taylor Kelsey and Taylor Swift were hanging out together.
Oh, did you hear that slip you had there?
I did not.
You said Taylor Kelsey.
Oh, apparently it's already done in my head that they're married, so.
I mean,
there's no way she changes her name.
Listen, there are certain songs of hers I like. If we had the money to do so, I would have let my wife go to her show. I maybe even have gone with her. I don't know. We just couldn't afford it, so it wasn't a thought. But, you know, I've never had a problem with her. I literally, since I was in middle school, high school, her music has always been playing, you know. So she's always been part of the zeitgeist for my generation. Because she's one of us. So I don't have a problem with her, and I do like some of her stuff. But I've always noticed in the pantheon of people that she has dated, or people have stated they've dated her, or just had little flings, you know, there are always these artistic-y, you know, either in the music world or in the acting world. And I'm just going to say it. Maybe those are not the type of guys for her, of these like super intense, you know, like, because if you think about like the lifestyle of like an actor, especially like a movie actor, they go to a place, their new life, new family is there, and then that is done. They go to a new place, their whole life is there. They go to a new place, their whole life is there. Like Tom Holland and one of her ex-boyfriends became like best friends for like a year because of Spider-Man. After that year is done, are those two hanging out all the time now? No, because they don't work together anymore. You know, she could need somebody who is consistently with the same people all year round and has commitments and, you know, is going to retire maybe within the next 4-ish years. And then, you know, at that point, what is he going to do? Like, at this point, he's he's an entertaining person, so he could work for a network or just live off of his earnings and be a podcaster for the rest of his life. Like, that guy, after he retires, won't have to do anything. He has the most, in the sporting world, he and his brother have the top podcast. That's not because of Taylor Swift. That's because the two of them are super entertaining. I know, because I started listening to it and I go, hot dog, these guys are good.
Yeah. But yeah, so you're saying that instead of going for the artistic type, Taylor needed to be trolling for
the jocks.
I'm saying. I have no idea how much of this you actually want to keep in, but man. You know, maybe that's what Taylor needs, coming from two dads and two guys that have heard her whole career. But there's nothing wrong with the jocks, Brett. Let's just be real.
Yep. Nothing wrong at all.
All right. I'm sorry I forced you to talk about it, but I thought you and I never talk about, you know, the things happening now. So let's chat about that.
We don't.
Should we get into this episode, Brett?
I think we need to. Let's talk about episode 7, Truth and Consequences. Good looking people. This week, we're going to look at Cory and Sean as they soil Janitor Bud's reputation. I did not write this synopsis. But they soil Janitor Bud's reputation when they produce a videotaped report on time clock fraud for a media arts class project. But the result is not what they planned. Mr. Feeney must fire Janitor Bud, a move that makes Cory and Sean unpopular with the rest of the student body. This episode was written by Donna Trujillo. I'm sorry, Donna, if I butchered your name. I'm guessing Trujillo because it's Trujillo. This is her first of 2 episodes she will write for the series. Her other one will be later this season, episode 12, The Grass is Always Greener. Directed by Jeff McCracken, originally aired November 3rd, 1995. It currently enjoys what do we got? A 7.7 IMDb rating. And our favorite game show for Tyler.
Vast emotional damage.
All right, we're back to it working.
Yay!
Our last episode came in at 16.7, which we noted was a big drop off from the previous episode before it. With our last episode at 16.7 million viewers in the Nielsen ratings, Tyler, what do you think Truth and Consequences came in with?
I think they repeat. I think they stay right at that 16.7.
You are very close. You would have won with the Price is Right rules because it is 16.8.
Nice.
Yes, 16.8. They had just a slight bump upwards with this week to start off sweeps month. So, yeah, that's everything I got to kick us off. Tyler, why don't you take us away with our teaser?
Well, we start with a very cheesy Cory with a microphone doing a little TV interview production, whatever you want to call it, media arts situation.
He's a man on the street reporter.
What?
He's a man on the street reporter.
Yeah, he's a man on the street reporter.
It's Billy Eichner
so he's in
before Billy was born.
And apparently we meet the cafeteria lady, Bertha von Blau. And Bertha, of course, is the former nanny of the Gorbachev family. Mm-hmm. Who knew?
Not me.
Oh, what?
Not me. And you know what? Bertha is not even credited as an actress on IMDb.
That's sad.
Now, she doesn't have a speaking role. That's why. But she doesn't have... We don't even know who she is, who this woman is on camera.
That's sad.
So, sorry, good-looking people. I don't know who this woman is to tell you.
Yeah. Well, it's not like she ever returns either.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Bertha.
Sorry.
Luckily, there's a nice black lady in the back as well.
Yeah, we can't thank you by name. Sorry.
Yes. But anywho, so she's Russian, and so she's from Russia, and apparently Russia treats Janus High just like prison. So they have Jell-O.
Yes.
And that's her specialty, is Jell-O. And Sean's trying to get the girls to, be in the picture. I'm just going to say, Brett, that there's some Me Too implications with the question of, hey, girls, you want to be in the movies? Or be in a picture? So we're just going to move past that train.
Yeah, I'll focus more on this. Really felt a lot like when Mr. Feeney assigned topics to Sean and Cory when they were on Patriot Radio.
Yeah, it does. And so it just kind of ends with Cory taking a nice big bite out of Jell-O, saying, some good Jell-O.
Freedom never tasted so good.
Mr. Williams stops the broadcast, and apparently Sean and Cory are sleeping.
They fell asleep during their own assignment. I clipped this little interaction if you want to hear it.
Oh, yes.
Hunter, Matthews, wake up. We gotta watch your report? You gotta watch it.
But it stinks. Maybe Mr. Williams doesn't know it stinks.
Oh, he knows.
Well, I for one think the students have a right to know how their food is prepared. Cory did an excellent report.
You two are an item, right? Matthews, you got yourself a good woman. But the assignment was to find me a news story. Now, how is Jell-O news?
When it's used for evil.
People, in my years as a news producer, I learned two things, all right? You got to tell the truth and make it interesting. You got to find a grabber. Now, you two keep that in mind as you redo your assignment.
This is definitely Eli on brand. Every time we see him and he talks about being in news, he's always talking about finding the truth and telling the truth.
But could you and I just agree for a moment that what they produced for a high school quote-unquote news segment is not bad?
It's not bad, no. I mean, they could have let Bertha tell her own story. That would have been a better way to go about it. Maybe Eli would have done better to give them pointers about how to take what they did and make it better. But it wasn't a bad start.
Yeah, honestly, I wish he would have said, stay on this Jell-O thing and see what truth you can learn from this.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, give them some pointers about, hey, this is a good start. Let's see how you can go and take a different angle. What's you focus on the Jell-O, but who's making the Jell-O? Let's go back and explore Bertha.
Right. You have someone in the school who has an interesting background. Why don't you see if she'll talk about it?
Yeah, because
that sounds interesting.
Ultimately, he greenlights a profile on Janitor Bud, which, I mean, this is supposedly a profile on Bertha, so...
Yeah. That would make more sense. I like how he's like, everybody knows that media arts is supposed to be an easy A. Maybe he doesn't know that. He does.
It's dumb, but I really enjoy that. Maybe he doesn't know that. He knows. I love that runner. I wish they worked that one in more often.
Yeah. Yeah, but apparently 4 days to broadcast. Apparently they are going to broadcast on public access.
Yeah, public access TV. This actually would have been a fairly big thing, because we do find out at the end of the episode that Mr. Feeney's decision was forced because school board members viewed the broadcast. I mean, anyone in the community gets to view what is here. I mean, when we go back last season, it's just the people within the school building that hear what's on the radio station. This is just broadcast over the PA. But Eli's class project is going out to anyone in Philadelphia radio who has access to basically a PBS station. It's just a channel on their TV they turn to. So, I mean, this actually has pretty broad ramifications for anyone in the greater Philly area and outlying suburbs that has access to that channel.
Well, and I will say, like, when I was in high school, we had, at the time, a special channel that we had access to in our community that was for community things. And a lot of times, like, school would do announcements through that to the community. I can't think of what else would be what would be in there. A lot of times it was just like information about town and all those things. But the what they would call global media at our school would make videos, would do like their version of school news, and they would put those things out there. But there's the big key to the but. They were produced, edited, and reviewed by the teacher
live
before it ever went out to the public. And I think that's the thing that bothers me the most about this episode. I know that's we're not there yet, but you're trusting high schoolers, especially because we establish in our headcanon these are ninth graders for the most part, to do a live broadcast. Somehow they have the technology at the school to do that, to do a live feed for everybody to see. And there's not a whole lot of, like, I know he's producing and that's great, but there's a difference between producing and teaching.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, headcanon, you can chalk this up somewhat to Eli being not really a teacher, more of a news producer, but yeah, a lot of this is going to fall on administration too. So Mr. Feeney's, I'm putting some of the blame on Mr. Feeney here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that I know he's like, hey, you're allowing them to air something. Well, I trust them. They're good kids. No, join us. Yeah, understand who you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get there, but his response to Eli when he finds out that he's going to air an unproduced or an unviewed video, which, by the way, just one season ago, when Cory airs a video that is got lucky, that is unviewed. But his response to Eli is simply,
Mr. Williams, this is high school. Join us.
Yeah.
nah.
It feels very anti-Feeney.
It's not. It's out of character, Feeney, for sure.
Right. Well, and even when they showed the video, it wasn't something that was going out to all of Philadelphia. It was just to that classroom. So even if there was something that was questionable in there, it was only going to be viewed in that classroom.
You mean this first one, or the one that they ultimately run, the Janitor Bud one?
No, the one from last season when they.
Oh yeah. That one is only in the classroom. Yeah.
Right. That's all I went.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, yeah, Mr. Williams is like, go give me some truth. Go give me a story, which is a really odd thing to say to teenagers, because what teenagers find interesting might not always be the most appropriate, no matter how good of a child they are.
That was just a perfect segue into what Sean and Cory initially find.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So doorbell rings. We walk into Mr. Turner's apartment, and apparently at 5:30 every single day, there's a lady who is in a towel who dances around in her apartment.
Now, I will say this. At least Michael Jacobs and ABC's network heads had the decency to write in that she's dancing in a towel. But here we have Cory and Sean, hormonally driven 14 and 15-year-olds. But they're peeping Toms with a video camera recording it. This is a crime. I don't know if this is misdemeanor or felony, but they're recording someone in their home where they have a legal expectation of privacy. Cory and Sean are committing a crime at this point. And they're being driven completely by their hormones. And this is what they think qualifies as a good story.
But Brett, literally, Turner's like, this is not news. This is inappropriate. You guys can't be doing this. And then he's like, let's turn on the news. And immediately it's up next. Beautiful women. And
I mean, good on Turner. He walks in and immediately guys put the camera down. This is wrong. We're going to go see what real news is. I mean, huge credit to Turner throughout this whole episode. He is trying to teach the boys without overstepping his bounds into another teacher's realm. He is trying to teach them from his vantage point, and he is trying to teach Eli at the same time without beating him over the head and letting Eli learn at the same time. So I have a lot of respect for Turner and the way he is handling himself. He's doing the job that Feeney should be doing in this episode.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting dynamic of having a third teacher there, especially who's less experienced than Turner. Like, we get last season they established Turner's the new groovy teacher at that school, but they kind of make it clear that he has been teaching for a while. At least like a few years or two, like it's not his first school. It's not his first rodeo. Where Eli, this is literally his first time teaching. He's never done this before. He's taught people how to do the news, but he's not taught young people how to handle this. So, yeah. I don't even want to say. I just found on the thing what the actual headline was, and I don't even want to say it. But yeah, is bigger, better?
Yeah.
And let's just take a moment, Brett, to say half of the stuff on news is just gross.
Oh, like, it's sensationalism. It's not.
I don't know
news.
when this happened exactly. I know that when Ted Turner got into the news game, it kind of went downhill, and Fox News became a thing and everything. Like, 24-hour news cycles became a thing. Intensity to news increased, but salacious stories, for some reason, no matter when it happened, is these big, giant things, and there's just a desire to have ratings that is just kind of gross instead of actually informing people what is happening. If you want a decent story about the news and the good of news, I recommend Newsroom, a TV show from almost 10 years ago. But
Aaron
it doesn't
Sorkin.
help you that much.
Yes, good-looking people, let me get on a very brief soapbox.
Soap it up.
90%, and this is not an overblown statistic, 90% of what you will see, hear, or find online is not news. It is commentary. It is overblown statistics from poorly formed and poorly sourced information. It is headlines that are deliberately misleading to drive traffic to their sites, because those sites are maintained and driven by advertising dollars. Most organizations that are deemed news are slanted either left or right, and they're going to deliver you their information that they call news from their perspective, and it is actually commentary. You have to dig through to find the facts. And if you're going to be getting your information from one side, you need to find balance from the other side. And what the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. There are rubrics out there that show you exactly where news sources, and I use this quotation marks, actually lie on that axis, left-leaning, right-leaning, in the middle. Find a good one and get your news from either a balance or right in the middle. I'll tell you right now, InfoWars is not a news source. And I'm sorry if you enjoy it. Fox News is legally labeled an entertainment. What is their term? An entertainment company. They're not actually legally termed a news company. Which is actually quite brilliant when it comes to legalities, because they can't be sued as a news source. But yes, when it comes to news, I actually, a big part of my job does lie in journalism, and my day job does lie in journalism. So when it comes to news being more commentary than anything else and being salacious and being driven by clicks, it does irk me a lot. So good-looking people, that is my soapbox. Most of your news you'll hear today is actually commentary, and it is driven by, we got to get this out first. And when it comes time that you realize that you find out, oh, this wasn't accurate, the retraction gets buried on page 30.
Yep.
So that's my soapbox. I wish more people were like Eli when it came to really finding out what's true.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you just said. The problem is, simply put, we want to believe the things we want to believe. Mm-hmm. And people will go to and listen to only the sources that will tell them what they want to hear, not what actually happened.
Yep.
And there are people that are willing to believe alternative facts and things that are not fully truths and allow themselves to live in a world that does not fully exist. Mm-hmm. I will also say that it's not a new thing for, especially in the political realm, that you have, opinions coming out and stating it, making it seem like it's a fact when really it's just slander and speaking ill of someone. There's an article, I think it was Jefferson, one of his paper that favored him, basically reported something about John Adams and how he's wants the throne or something like that again, and he wants to become a new king, or just I know that at one point, especially after George Washington left, there was the vacuum of struggle and a lot of really inappropriate things started coming out and saying slanderous things about one another. That doesn't happen as much, but people say it on TV, so it's different.
Yeah. And just so you know, TikTok is not necessarily a reliable news source.
Liar.
I said not necessarily reliable. There may be a couple on there that are decent, but not necessarily. Anyway, I think that's enough soapboxing for now.
We have this interesting interaction real quick that we have to discuss, and that's Janitor Bud giving a kid named Leonard a hard time because apparently Leonard threw up and Bud had to clean it up. Mm-hmm. And Feeney's like, hey, we don't taunt the kids here.
Wait, don't embarrass the students, Janitor Bud.
Yeah. Oh, me and Leonard, we're tight. We're friends.
We go way back.
Yeah.
I still enjoy the chase.
So anywho, Feeney sits down with Turner, and I think Eli as well.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of good-looking young women around.
Woolley has decided to retire.
Yes.
And move to Florida to be closer to her grandchildren.
One of whom is 50.
Yeah.
She's old enough to have a 50-year-old grandson. So good she's finally retiring.
Yeah. It is good. Mm-hmm. I mean, that generation, someone in their 90s should not be working at school. And they wouldn't have been, but,
No.
Whatever. They had good retirements.
Yeah, that back in 95, they had a pretty decent retirement plan.
Yeah. Let's not even get into it, Brett. Let's not even go there.
Yeah,
so,
just keep moving.
They're talking about how they're interviewing for a new secretary because they need a new secretary. Make a joke about getting an oxygen tank for the last one. And apparently she's a certified scuba diver. Everyone's a scuba diver for some odd reason in this area.
Everyone's a scuba diver in Philly.
Yeah. It's those type of jokes that make me go, you guys literally are not from Pennsylvania for a moment, are you? No one is.
No.
Yeah. So, anywho, Turner was kind of talking about that assignment that he gave, and the guys talking about Jell-O, and then talking about the dancing girl, and Eli trying to say, there's truth out there, there's scandal, there's something. It's like, yeah, remember they're teenagers, and so the boys are trying to figure out, well, what can we do? What's a scandal out there? What's a story we can tell? And just Joey is just walking around like giant red flags all over the place, and just probably the most carny like he has ever been.
Joey is such a cartoon.
Yes, he is a cartoon in this world, and it makes me happy.
Stolen bike tires, and then I'm not sure if these are stolen tube socks or just an illegal tube sock ring that he's trying to sell. But
they say something in the news broadcast about tube socks being stolen.
Yeah, but he opens his shirt and he's got like tube socks like you see in the old like 1940s movies where a guy opens his coat and he's got all kinds of fancy rich watches inside that he's, these hot watches that he's trying to sell. It's hilarious. I love the visuals there. It's absolutely hilarious.
It's great.
Yeah, I love Joey when he's a cartoon.
Eric's storyline, which apparently he in the school is going to do some sleep study research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this type of thing did happen when I was in elementary school. There was. I don't remember if it was a sleep study, but I do remember an independent, some sort of independent firm did come in for a week and did some sort of independent study similar to this. So this type of thing did happen. And we'll meet Monique, played by Kathy. It's either Tragesser or Tragesser. I'm not sure on pronunciation there. So, again, Kathy, my apologies if I butchered your last name. First and only time we'll see her on Boy Meets World. She has 21 acting credits to her name, including Silk Stockings, Days of Our Lives, Step by Step.
Step by step, day by day.
Murder, She Wrote, Lois and Clark, New Adventures of Superman, Baywatch, Baywatch Nights, Team Knight Rider, and others. And she has not been in front of a camera since 2014.
Her last name's Larson.
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently Eric agrees that he will get paid and will sleep during the middle of school. Yeah. And there we go.
I earn cash, buy records. How hard could it be?
Eric says, I got a job. Do these writers forget that Eric worked at the store?
Well, we already figured out earlier this season that he must have quit for some reason. I don't remember our reasoning, but
Eric worked all the first season at the store.
Yeah, he was a bag boy. He even quit to go be a supermodel and then had to start back at the bottom.
Listen, I get that the joke's the most important thing in this show. I get that. But some of the continuity, especially for a character like Eric and Sean, just drives me crazy. These are two of your main characters from the start of the show.
Mm-hmm. If I could slap one piece of information into Michael Jacobs, it would be do better with continuity.
Amy switches jobs out of nowhere.
Yeah. And then we never really talk about it again, ever.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Eric's an amateur sleeper looking to turn pro.
4 days later, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, we time is really weird in this episode. It jumps and slows and jumps and slows. But anyway.
This episode?
Yeah. Well, we'll focus on this episode for right now.
Yeah. But I mean, we're not that far away from the New Year's Eve episode. We're like 3-ish episodes away from there. 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly.
I think just 3. Yeah.
But so we're right around, say, November. Mm-hmm. Let's just put a month on it.
Yeah,
Let's say
beginning of November. Yeah.
So you're saying that from the time he got hired in September to November, they've had the time and ability to be able to make this thing happen of going live at the school.
Mm-hmm. depending on if the media arts class was already running or if this was something they had intended to get running and they had a teacher and he dropped out, it's possible, but I'm going to say episode maybe we should call a little bit.
Agubwa.
I'm calling a Goobwa.
All right, there you go.
Agubwa.
That still makes me happy. Anywho, Topanga's trying to channel her inner Katie Kirk. I will say that we've talked about Katie Kirk before. This version of Topanga is very inspired by her. So she's trying to channel her to be her most Katie Kirk version. I will say that Alan and Amy are there for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their son is, he's going to be filing a report. Alan's a manager, so he's got the flexibility to be there. I mean, their son's effectively going to be live on TV in one way or another.
Yeah. I mean, I get the idea that you have parents being there, but it's like, it's very clearly only showing the two of them. I know they're the only two that matter for
it is a little odd. They're the only
TV show
parents
sake,
there. But yes. I mean, they're the only parents there. It's only Eli and Feeney there that are staff. But yes, story's sake, yes. But yes, it is odd.
It's just the TV, TV magic, as they say.
I do want to know what magic tricks Janitor Bud does.
I would love to know that as well. Topanga's kind of nervous. Everything is kind of moving very slightly. And, George comes up and he's, talking to Eli. It keeps the whole Mr. Williams thing just tripping me up. But,
I know
about what's going on and the profiles and about Janitor Bud. He says, Janitor Bud? He's not doing magic, is he?
Our Janitor Bud?
Yeah. And then we have that very important moment where he's like, yeah, and Matthews has a report. He's editing up, finishing it right now. It's like,
you haven't seen it?
These are good kids. They haven't let me down yet. Mr. Williams, this is high school. Join us.
And this is where, credit to Donna. I mean, writing for TV is difficult. It takes a lot, but Mr. Feeney is out of character here. He has seen enough through 2.5 seasons with Cory specifically, not to mention all the other students at John Adams High, to say, no, you're not putting, I am the principal of this school. I am responsible for the image and the reputation of this school. We are live on air to anyone in this region. You are not putting a report on air that you did not personally vet. Mr. Feeney would not let that go out to that wide an audience when he had a problem with it going to a classroom that was not vetted. I mean, he let Mr. Turner make the choice, but that was just a classroom.
I will say, as I'm thinking through this moment, for good-looking people, those of you that haven't watched Newsroom, there's an amazing moment where one of the anchors for a segment goes off script and doesn't listen to her executive producer, and she's just kind of confronting a guest. And after the broadcast, after a bunch of yelling, she calmly is walking out and she tries to go, okay, so I may have stepped over the line. And the producer's like, whatever you say next, just wait the next 30 seconds. What's going to happen next Thursday? Whatever happens, just remain calm for the next 15 seconds. What's going to happen next 15 seconds? And then it's just this, what in the name of blah, blah, blah were you thinking? Just a tirade of curse words that I don't want to repeat here, but it's just this essentially Mr. Feeney is this, the overarching, director of news, and he's quite disturbed that an EP is not as prepared as he should be. But he trusts his EP, so he's hoping it's going to work out. And unfortunately,
they
wanted to get to the truth, and that truth was not a good truth to find out. And also, I think what bugs me too is timing wise, it feels like if at 5 o'clock at night they realize what happened, they should be at the school. Thus, Cory should be able to go in and immediately edit that sucker and then have it ready for the next morning. And then, two, he should almost have this moral of, should I show this or not? Like, I think it would have been more interesting if, like, this is, like, they would have gotten this, like, a day or two beforehand.
Do we take this on air?
Right. And they're like, this is great. This is amazing. This is awesome. And, like, Mr. Williams reviews it, and he loves it. It's great. And Cory has to have that conversation of, if I air this, this is going to hurt somebody, but it's the truth. So will I do the right thing by showing this?
And we could have much better conversations around that rather than Cory just rushing headlong into it and not thinking through anything.
Yeah. I mean, the way that they make this seem is if they just wanted to get the story, they got the story, and it didn't matter what happened after that.
Yes.
And so when people are being rude to Cory and Sean later on, and the way that people interact with them, they're justified in those feelings because...
Yeah. Now, do teenage boys make decisions without thinking of ramifications? Yes.
Yes.
Do Cory and Sean make decisions without thinking of ramifications? Yes.
Yes.
Do it's like you said, their reactions are very justified. Would it have been a better story if they had done what we had just suggested? Absolutely.
Yes.
It would have been a much better story. That said, the report itself was hilarious.
Yes, they're trapped like deer.
Deer? I will say I had the hugest problem with Cory taking all that time to edit and not editing out his spinach.
Yeah, but that's just...
It's funny.
Something that a high schooler would do.
It's funny. It's something that a high schooler would do, but it is just so stupid.
Remind me to edit it out.
Oh, yeah.
Not a dramatization. Not a dramatization.
Now, I'm curious if Bud is giving Joey $5 every time and how many days a week he's leaving early. Because I don't remember them saying how often.
Also, it comes into play of what is his actual schedule? Mm-hmm. That's something for later on. But yeah, so the gist of it is that he leaves early every single day. Everyone is confused by this. And also just like, in a way, you could tell that Eli is proud of them because, hey, they got a story. It was compelling. They did a good job. But there's now consequences for that. And Mr. Feeney was like, hey, is this real?
Yeah, not a dramatization. I mean, Eli is very impressed. They found something real and true in the school, but that's not what he was expecting. And yeah, I will say, I know they had to work with the sets they had, but that time clock is way too out in the open. Yeah. And I did love the A Thug title there. Yeah. And the loneliest mop that Cory's ever seen is icing on the cake.
Yeah. But I have to say, I'm alarmed with the phrasing, and I blame Jacobs for this. The fact that Cory comes up to his parents and goes, Mom, Dad, how proud are you? Like, I know that he's a teenager and all, but we have had 3 seasons of Cory's parents proving time and time again that they are proud of him for who he is and that they trust the way they've raised him and his brother. Yeah. And like, Cory should not be feeling like, well, did I do a good enough job? Do you love me now?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
they prove it every day.
At this point in, he should really be walking up to him and say, well, what do you think? Not how proud of you are, your investigative reporter. Just what do you think of what we put up there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely like high on his own supplies. There's no other way of saying it at the moment. Like, he's just too about himself, I guess, and prideful. But
totally.
other than that, like, teenagers, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of try to make it clear to Cory of, like, this is going to affect him. He goes, Feeney's got a heart of gold. What could happen? And Bud gets fired.
Yeah. 2 months away from a full pension. But he tries to point out that he saved Feeney's life. There was a waxy buildup on the floor. He threw himself on it. Feeney thought he was asleep. Well, while I was down there. But Feeney.
Ammonia's in my blood.
Really? Ammonia's in my blood. We're like brothers. No, we're not. Nothing works. And then Joey comes back out. And I clipped Joey's interaction here.
His speech.
His little speech.
Did you bother to find out where our saintly Janitor B was going every day at 2:55? No?
Uh-oh.
So before you go pontificating from your tuchus, let me set you straight. Every day that sweet bud of a man takes a few dollars that he has left, and he visits a place where there are others even less fortunate than him.
Oh, my stomach is bubbling.
Good. Your stomach should bubble. Because that lovely man that you got canned, he's a giver. And do you know where he gives, Matthews?
Oh, I don't want to know.
The track, Matthews. Playing the ponies. The joy of gambling was all he had left. So next time you go sticking your nose someplace where it don't belong, you remember this. You suck.
That might be my favorite Joey the Rat monologue. Before you go pontificating from your tuchus.
You suck.
You suck.
Well, I just love this build that they have of, him really giving and being a charitable person to
where others
bets on the ponies.
Yeah, where others are less fortunate, and he gives at the track.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, he's cutting out early to go play the ponies. Like, okay, yeah, he's really not doing anything other than just throwing money away.
Yeah. I mean, how is it that this is the first time that Feeney is hearing about this too? Like, if he's consistently doing this, this would have come out.
But at the same time, I mean, he's clearly also coming back to the school later in the day because Cory saved his life because he was asleep in the closet when Cory set fire to the school.
That's my problem,
in
Brett.
Hometown Hero.
What is his schedule? If he's there half of the night and towards the end of the evening, when is he supposed to be working?
So he's either not going every day or he's going and then coming back. Who knows?
Right.
Episode's gonna episode
I don't know.
or
I don't know,
Goobwa.
Brett. I don't know.
Agubwa.
Yeah. This is real episode has to episode.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. You know who I'm talking to.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then we get the janitor's curse.
We go back to Eric, who is waking up from his little bit of sleep study. And apparently she's quite impressed, Monique is, on Eric's situation when he's sleeping. And she wants to know if he'll come back another time and get paid again.
Yeah, because he has a serene, almost goofy look on his face because he has no brain activity while he's sleeping.
Now, I have to say, if for this young person who is doing this research, would not she go, hey, how about tonight? I've set up this appointment for you to go to a lab, and at this lab, we will do more, research, blah, 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 and we'll pay you for that time. That seems like that's the progression, of more technology, more tests, see what happens. But this is here solely for Eric to have something to do and a joke. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Real world, it would be either let's recalibrate the equipment and try again, or we need to send you to a better facility.
Yeah.
But Eric wants half and then double it. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently the guys are now in the cafeteria, and people aren't happy because people like Janitor Bud. And Cory and Sean are the whole reason that he's been fired. At least that's the way the school feels. Including Bertha, apparently.
Oh, yeah. She writes, I hate you on Cory's bun. And the janitor's curse gets Sean because he trips over a plunger in the cafeteria.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the janitor's curse that he puts upon the school.
Oh, not the school, just Sean and Cory. That's fun. You have to see it. Good-looking people, go back and rewatch that part. Yeah. Janitor Bud is awesome at that point. And Cory he thinks of himself as a reporter, not a student. That's
he keeps referring to himself as a reporter, and that's
a failing on Eli's part. Eli definitely did not delineate for his students there, especially Cory.
But every time that Cory gets an assignment like this, he does take this obsessive approach to it. And he's like, I am a reporter. I'm a man behind the camera. This is who I am. I have to get this information.
Yeah, Cory has an obsessive personality. We should really get someone on the podcast sometime that has a psychology degree to assess Cory.
I think I might have someone.
Anyway. But yeah, so I did clip Eli and Jonathan's conversation.
Man, Matthews is really taking a beat.
Yeah, but he had it coming, don't you think? I mean, the kid's story cost Janitor Bud his job.
Yeah, but the whole school's on the little guy's case now.
That was the assignment, wasn't it?
Oh,
You told him to go out and get a hot news story, right? Matthews did. It's a news business.
Yeah, but this isn't the news business. This is school. These are kids.
Exactly.
And there it is. Jonathan's pointing out to Eli something he had a blind spot for.
Yeah.
It didn't click with him yet, and there it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, is that, like, for a news station, for them to go out and get a story, they're talking to someone for a few minutes, they get the story, and then they go to a different story. Like this weekend, my wife and I participated in a walk for our middle child, and there was a news crew there. We actually stood by the news crew at one point. They didn't interview us, but they were interviewing other people, and did a whole story on it, and it was in the news later on that night. But it's not like that lady had to see us the rest of the day. Like they go get the information and they go back to their home studio. That's the news business. That's not how schools operate.
Yeah.
But I do like that we finally have Cory sits down with his parents and have a full-blown discussion on, did I do the right thing? And I love, I don't know if you clipped this, but I love their interaction with each other.
Yeah, I didn't clip it.
That's fine. We'll just talk about it.
I like that Alan and Amy disagree because it shows realism. It shows that they both have their own perspective. It's not homogenous, or it's not monolithic. Amy thinks Cory was wrong. Her reasoning's a little simplistic just because, the poor man was 2 months away from retirement. Her concern was just that Bud, not that Bud was doing something wrong, but that he was fired 2 months away from retirement. Alan thinks Cory was right because Janitor Bud was skipping out to go play the ponies when he should have been working, and he was effectively stealing from the school. And we don't get to see any more because, Eric interrupts, but I would have loved to have seen more of this conversation. And if they had gone the route that we had suggested earlier, we could have dived a lot deeper into this conversation. But this would have been a very fertile ground for discussion for the episode.
Yeah. But, I mean, in fairness to both of them, neither one of them are wrong. Like, this is literally what was the right thing? Like, is it right for the school to be paying for someone to not be there, not doing their job? Or is it better for them to give grace and say, hey, you're 2 months away, we're going to let you slide? And again, you're 2 months away, as in only 2 more months of half of the school year, and then he can hit pension, which, I guess if he was hired midway through the year, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, yeah, I like that. Again, Amy and Alan do a great job quite often, even if they disagree with something, of telling Cory why they disagree with something, and then still making it clear of, you still have to decide, did you do the right thing or not?
Yep.
So, Eric lets him know that he has a letter from the University of Pennsylvania that they want to study him.
You got accepted? Better. They want to study me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a little bit easier in his world.
I'm just going to fast forward this for a moment, Brett, because all in all, we get to Mr. Feeney's office at this point, and Mr. Feeney's trying to get a coffee. Cory walks in with Eli, and they're like, hey, we really think you should reconsider firing Bud. It's not right you did that. He deserves to get full pension, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, sorry, I made my decision. I had no choice. He could no longer be... I could not have him as a janitor anymore. Of course, how could you do this to the man? He saved your life.
Oh, I saw that wax.
Oh, for the love of God, I saw the wax. Cory's trying to say, I always thought you had a heart of gold, and I just don't understand how you could do this. And then, Brett, plot twist, Janitor Bud walks in. But he's not in a janitor's uniform.
Nope, Janitor Bud is replacing the secretary who is retiring for 2 months.
Yes, I wish we could have had Secretary Bud for a little bit. That would have been awesome.
Would have been fantastic, yes. But this is the last time we will see Janitor Bud.
Yeah, but what a great way for him to go out. Coasters, Feeney, coasters.
Yes. Oh, yes, what a great way for him to go out.
Careful with that buzzer.
It's not a toy.
You know?
Yes. Curse my heart of gold.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is Feeney is a good guy. Feeney has a good heart. And yes, he can't trust Bud to, be a janitor and be independent, essentially, in his job.
Yes,
but
and he can't... I mean, he made a point. The school board did see that. The school board is not going... His hands were tied. He cannot allow Bud to remain in that position because he was shown to not be trustworthy in it. But he has the freedom to put whoever he wants in that secretary position.
Yeah. I mean, real world, if someone did that, I would imagine that they would not be allowed to work at the school whatsoever. But
yeah,
this isn't the real world. This is TV world. And I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we end the episode with more people standing around Eric with lab coats on.
From around the world.
Brett, a lot of them have interesting things on their heads. I don't want to go too far into it, but it's the 90s version of diversity, if you will.
Yes.
From colleagues around the world.
Yes, and I actually do have a screen cap or two. We've got someone represented in a kilt from Scotland. We've got a gentleman in a turban. We have a gentleman in dashiki from Africa. We have what looks to be a woman from, I'm going to guess, India or Japan, based on what little of her garb under her coat I can see. White guy, I'm going to say she's from China. She's from China.
I think that white guy's got his hair back. He kind of reminds me of the guy from Mighty Ducks 2.
I could, yeah, yes. And gentlemen, I'm gonna say he's a token guy from Britain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So they've got some very, very generic global diversity represented there.
Yeah. But all of this Eric situation was all set up so that way they could show that Eric is completely content and super relaxed and chilled. And you see a rat sitting there who has worries and concerns and is fearful of his life. And why has this woman put these things onto me? I'm going to die feelings.
Oh, he has fears, hopes, dreams, and goals.
Poor little guy, is what Eric says.
Yes, but if you notice Eric's monitor, his brainwaves are still flat when he wakes up.
I did notice that too.
Which, I mean, it's a production error, but it's still funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all for the joke. I said there are some episodes I have to remind myself it is all for the joke. It's all for the joke. That's all it is. Just accept it's for the joke. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but that's our episode, Brett.
That is our episode. Yes. And so we come to the part of the episode where we find out about Tyler's
people. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Deep dives.
All right, let's start with the name Gorbachev. So Mikhail Gorbachev was a Soviet and Russian politician who served as the eighth and final leader of the Soviet Union from 1985 to the country's dissolution in 1991. He is the leader at the time that Richard Nixon says, "Mr. Gorbachev, bring down that wall. I'm not a crook." Those are the two lines that people know of his.
Those are the only two lines most people know.
He was born in March 2nd, 1931, and passed away August 30th, 2022, which is quite recent. So for the record, in Pennsylvania, it is illegal to record someone without their consent. So say, videotaping someone from across the way is very much illegal. I don't have specifically on if it's a misdemeanor or what the charges would be, but just know it's illegal. That's all you need to know, and you shouldn't do it. Let's talk Jell-O, Brett.
All right, I like Jell-O.
What is Jell-O? Jell-O is sold ready to eat in a powder form and is available in many different colors and fruit flavors. The powder contains powdered gelatin and flavoring, including sugar and artificial sweeteners. It is dissolved in very hot water, then chilled and allowed to set. Fruit, vegetables, whipped cream, and other ingredients can be added to make an elaborate snack that can be molded into various shapes. Jell-O must be put into a refrigerator until served. Once set properly, it is normally eaten with a spoon. So, the first recorded reference to a gelatin-like substance was from 1682. A Frenchman named Denis Papin recorded his research experiments on the subject. His experiments resulted in a method of removing a gelatinous material from animal bones by boiling. It has no taste, no odor, and when combined with liquid, no color. It is pure protein. So, Jell-O was once healthy for you if you need some protein. So in 1895, Pearl B. Waite, a cough syrup manufacturer in Leroy, New York, was having business troubles. he decided to give up on cough syrup business and branched out to the food industry. He and his wife, May, experimented with adding fruit syrup, strawberry, raspberry, orange, and lemon to gelatin. The powder was 88% sugar. May renamed the dessert Jell-O. However, they were also unsuccessful in selling the product. Unfortunately for Mr. Watt, he lacked the funds and knowledge to properly market this product, so he ended up selling the Jell-O formula to his neighbor, Orator, Orator, Francis Woodward. In 1899, Orator Francis Woodward purchased the name Jell-O and the business for, are you ready for this number, Brett?
Yes.
$450. During the early years, Woodward had no luck in getting Jell-O to take off in popularity either. And he reportedly tried to sell off the Jell-O business for only $35 to his plant superintendent, Andrew Samuel Nico. Woodward advertising efforts started to pay off when sending well-groomed salesmen out on beautiful horse-drawn carriages into communities, fairs, country gatherings, and church socials to evangelize and provide Jell-O shapes. These efforts, along with new technology such as refrigeration and packaging in powder form, helped Jell-O get discovered and become fashionable to serve at banquets and fancy dinners. I'll also add that in 1902, Woodward launched the advertising campaign America's Most Favorite Dessert. Now, of course, as we all know, if you go into the baked goods section, what are you going to find? A crap ton of Jell-O. And as someone who stocks those shelves, I'm going to be real with you. I have no idea how much Jell-O we actually sell, but it always feels like when I walk in there, there's still the same amount in there as there was before. But, oh well. Mostly just this sugary thing. That's it.
It's wiggly sugar.
Yeah. But, hey, we all know that if we want some Jell-O, we make some Jell-O, and it's good.
And if you really want more sugar, you let it sit halfway, and then you drop a bunch of gummy bears in it and let it finish setting.
So media arts, I was trying to look up like when media arts became like a thing, and there's not a real clear-cut answer to that. As far as like doing like recording and making videos and those type of things, that came around in the 80s with VHS recorders being much more easier to get of. So basically, there's not a true clear indication of like when any sort of media arts became like a thing, but essentially we can do context clues of, you know, it's easy to get a VHS tape and player in the 80s, so that's probably when they started becoming a thing. Slowly but surely, 90s became a much bigger thing. You know, in the 2000s, every single school just about had some form of a media arts program, whether it was a teacher that was solely dedicated to teaching that or just a teacher that had that as like a side and only had like a few like one class period for it. I will say that it was a shock to me when you said that, yes, it was not that uncommon for the 90s to have people show up to a school and do some sort of an experiment or whatever. But I just kind of looked up, like, you know, experiments. And so there was one done. CDC, most middle school and high school students don't sleep enough. And said more than 2 out of 3 school-age adolescents aren't getting enough sleep. And the stimulation seems to be getting worse, according to the U.S. Center of Disease Control Prevention, CDC. The agency, which found a similar trend among middle school age children, warned that insufficient sleep can increase the risk of a host of health, including problems with obesity, diabetes, injury. CDC's based results from Youth Risk Behaviors Survey, the YRBS, administered in 2015 in high school students in 30 states, 16 urban school districts, and middle schools in 9 states, 7 urban school districts. So the average night's sleep is what they are kind of going for. CDC recommends at least apparently 9 to 12 hours for children ages 6 to 12 and 8 to 10 per 24 for 13 to 18s. Among middle schoolers, 57.8% reported insufficient amount of sleep, with nearly 12% reported sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night. That sounds like a good night's sleep to me.
Sadly, yes.
Among high schoolers, 72.7% reported insufficient sleep, about 20% reporting sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night. Both groups, females fared worse than males, with 59.6% of middle schoolers, 70.6% of high school females reporting insufficient amount of sleep, compared to the 57% of middle school boys and the 69.9% of male boys. Essentially, Brett, what we can take from this is the survey sample that they have is that doesn't seem like kids are getting that much sleep, and that's not good. And maybe Eric's one of the few that does get a good enough amount of sleep, which is why he sleeps so calmly.
I think so. I think that is quite accurate.
And last but not least, there was a portion when the crossing guard, they showed a book of his about crossing. And just want you to know that book does not exist, of course. But there are some books out there that are like kids' books. So Crossing Guards, Crossing the Current, Ready, Stop, Crossing Guard. People Who Help Kids, Crossing Guard. High Five Hank, that looks interesting. Crossing the Current. Some little simple books about crossing guards, apparently. So there is stuff out there, which would be an interesting thing to have a nice updated kids book on that. I don't know why that wasn't something they would promote, but anyway, Brett, those are the deep dives.
All right. Well, let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Yes, draw me a picture. Tyler, what did you learn?
I think to quote Fred Sandwich, we're doing this again? How can I learn so much, Brett, and still be so stupid?
Oh, man. We're doing this story again? You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for that, because I feel like sometimes we are teaching the same thing over and over and over and over again. And there's a point that you're just like, you just have to grab them by the face. Like, are you paying attention? You keep doing this.
In the words of Mr. Turner,
Do you
Listen?
So I will say this, that it reminds me of today at football, because our guys weren't doing that good, and there was a point that I could have really laid into a couple of kids, and I pulled them aside, and I think they thought I was going to. And I looked at them, and I would say to them, hey, take a breath and know that you could be doing better. You and I both know you could be. And there's no question in my head that you are one of the best kids in this league when you try and when you're paying attention. And I get frustrated when you don't, because I know you could do more. And it's just that sometimes it's what it is that you realize that you could be yelling and could be frustrated, but sometimes calmly just saying, I get angry, buddy, because this is not your best, and we both know it. So sometimes a nice calm conversation is what we need to have, and gosh, I wish someone would have had that with Cory.
Yeah. Well, my lesson for the good-looking people this week is think things through. Don't be like Cory and just think about you and what you want to get out of this. Think about the impact it'll have on everyone around you. So many things in life are your decisions impact so many other people beyond just yourself. So think things through.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a teenage boy, because Lord knows you guys do not think things through enough.
Yeah.
All of us don't, but especially you guys.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about grades.
Miss Owens, excellent. Mr. Baker, very nice. Mr. Matthews, well, there it is.
I haven't pulled that one out in a while. Tyler, what do you grade this one?
I struggle with this one.
I'll go first. I
Okay,
make you go first. I'm giving this one a C-. I mean, we've seen this message before. We've seen this lesson before, and Cory had an opportunity. Eli had an opportunity. Feeney had an opportunity to do better, and none of them did. Feeney was written out of character. And ultimately, this message could have done better if they would have given Cory the opportunity to actually think things through before going on air. So, was the message taught? Yes. Were there consequences? Yes. Did they really dive into it well enough? No. So, does it do its job? Yes. Does it do its job well enough? No. Do I watch it? Yes, I do. Do I skip it on a marathon? No, I don't. But is it one that I really point to as a sterling example of Boy Meets World? Not really. So I'm giving it a C-.
Okay. This is going to be a weird grade for me to give.
Okay.
Because at this point, I mean, we've kind of established that like a D, anywhere in the D range, like we kind of will avoid watching it again. F tier, we almost will never watch unless we absolutely have to. Like those are the ones we go out of our way and avoid. But like, in a way, this is one where like I like this episode, and I know I'll watch it again. But in the reviewing in the context of it, gosh, this episode is not anywhere near good, even compared to last week's episode that we said this is a average episode. This one is worse than that one by at least 2 points. You know, because I almost feel like this episode is trying to have everybody. And in trying to have everybody be represented, we almost have no time for anyone, including for Cory. So I think for that matter, this is the first time we've done this, so we're going to see what happens. But I'm going to give this episode, Brett, the first official C-.
A C-.
Now you may say, Tyler, that's just a D+. No, because a D+ is something that is way bad, and I don't want to really watch that again. But this is one I will watch again. I know for sure I have no problem watching this. In fact, I may go out of my way to watch this one. So it's in the C range for me, but it's 2 notches below last week's episode. It just is. In fact, I would rewatch this episode before I'd rewatch the pig episode. Don't tell me how that makes sense, Brett, but just
hey, it's your grade. I mean, you grade how you want. I'm just sitting here putting the grade in my box there.
Just trying to make your graphic a little more confusing now.
Yep. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to score it at the end of the season. I don't know where that's going to fall on the graph.
You have to make a new graph now.
You just ruined my graph for me at the end of the season. Yeah, these are based on a number system, dude.
Can you tell I'm
so
tired?
C- and a C-. Next time we have our teacher extraordinaire on, we'll have to
minus
ask.
Squared.
Next time we have our teacher extraordinaire on, we'll have to ask her about the minus.
Yeah, I did try to see if she was available for this episode because I thought this would be a good one for her on, but she was unavailable. But she said she feels honored and wants to. It's just timing.
I understand that. Well, we will have to make sure we find a good time to have her on for one. All right. Well, before we go, let's get your dad joke in. Although we could call your C- a dad joke.
Hold on. I don't know why I always forget about this part, but I do. We got to tell people about the fact that if they leave a review, we'll read it on air and do all that stuff real quick.
This is episode 60. This is your 30th dad joke you're supposed to give. You still forget. Well, while Tyler is getting his dad joke ready, you can leave us a review, a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you, I still don't know if you can leave us anything at Spotify or Google Podcasts, which I found out today is going away next year because they're folding that into YouTube Music. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook at dadsmeetworld. You can interact with us there. When people leave comments and stuff, we respond there. We also do on our YouTube channel at dadsmeetworld. And you can send us an email, dadsmeetworld@gmail.com, and you can give us, you can pick up some Dads Meet World swag at dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. Lots of good stuff there. Very comfortable, very swagalicious stickers and magnets and shirts and all kinds of stuff there. And they're adding new stuff all the time.
All right. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Okay. This comes from the website that says an article about jokes about a specific someone to make your children laugh. So if this doesn't work, then website lied. But you'll know exactly what the subject is based on once I start reading the joke. So here we go, Brett. What is Taylor Swift's computer password?
I don't know. What is Taylor Swift's computer password?
All the first letters are capitalized, but it's I knew you were trouble when you logged in.
Well, that's it. I already gave you guys all the good information we normally do while the exit music is played. So instead, I'll share with you.
Oh, man. We're doing this story again?
They want you to take the roles!
Hey, what do you call a pop star with a cold?
What do you call a pop star with a cold?
Taylor sniffed.
That one was good.
Oofa.
So Tyler, they want you to take the roles.
They do. They want you to take the roles, Brett.
Well, until next time, I'll see you good looking.
Back to you, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
Find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.